Are you tired of feeling like your stomach has its own agenda? Like the bloating, gas, or constant trips to the bathroom are running your life? Welcome to the Beyond Bloated podcast, the podcast where we tackle those frustrating gut issues head on, without strict diets or giving up your favorite foods. I'm Karlee, a certified gut health coach who's been there, struggling with bloating that made me look 6 months pregnant, gut pain that kept me from enjoying meals, and fatigue so draining it felt impossible to get through the day. Now, I help women like you find freedom from those symptoms and take back control of their lives. Each week, we'll debunk gut health myths, dive into simple, actionable tips, and hear stories from women who've been exactly where you are. It's time to feel confident, energized, and bloat-free. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Bloated podcast, or welcome for the very first time. If you think that you need a 3-hour morning routine with a $4,000 red light panel and a hot yoga membership to fix your gut, this episode is for you. I have noticed a trend lately on the internet, specifically Instagram, with wellness content and wellness influencers going absolutely batshit crazy on their wellness routines, what they do to keep themselves feeling good every single day. And it is insane. It makes normal, regular people like us feel like we are lazy, we're broke asses, or we are so far behind that what they have, the way they feel, and being able to feel just relatively good in our bodies day to day is impossible because we don't have the things that they have. This content and this promotion of all this crazy wellness noise is turning health, just basic, regular health, into a full-time job when it really does not need to be, and it should not be. I, of course, am not anti-wellness. I am a gut health coach. I take my health seriously. I take care of myself. I prioritize the things that are important to me so that I do feel good day to day. I worked very hard to get my gut health to where it is today, to the point where I don't have food sensitivities anymore. I don't have diarrhea and stomach pain. I do have energy all day, and I generally feel great. So yes, I do encourage you to prioritize your health and your well-being, but the unnecessary pressure that is out there on the internet of all of these crazy bonus extras is driving me insane. I did not do any of that fancy shit to feel better, and I still don't. If you are overwhelmed by what you are seeing out there as well, we are going to dive into it today so that you don't have that pressure and you know exactly what you do need to focus on to feel better, and it's not going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. If you are not on social media, or maybe your algorithm is quite different from mine, so you don't see all of the crazy wellness trends that I'm talking about, let me paint the picture for you. I am seeing wellness influencers, fitness people displaying their morning routines or their daily things that they do to keep their health in tip-top shape. And it looks a little something like this. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go and sit in the sunlight for 30 minutes. Immediately after that, I do a cold plunge in my massive cold plunge pool in my backyard, and then I do 20 minutes of breath work. I take my $1,000 supplement stack, never miss a day. I make sure I hit the gym after that for about an hour. Then I journal about it. I do a little gratitude practice. Then I sit in my sauna. I put my red light panel on at night. It's insane because that takes up your entire day. And then they're pretending like they have the time to do life after that as well. This is so unrealistic for the average person. And if they want to share this information, okay, cool. But the problem is that a lot of women who are struggling with their health, with their digestion, believe that, well, I need to do all of this if I want to feel better, and I can't. So they do nothing. That's a big problem. The underlying message that I get from this content is, look at me putting all this time and effort and money into my health. I'm prioritizing myself. You should too. this is why I feel so good. And if you're still bloated or if you're still having health issues, you just aren't trying hard enough. And that couldn't be further from the truth. If we look at all of those things individually, like morning sunlight and breath work, taking certain supplements, working out, journaling, yes, those can be beneficial for your health for sure, but they're not necessary to do every single day stacked on top of each other for you to see progress. When we think back to what wellness truly is, it's just supporting your well-being. It's feeling good day to day, making better choices with your nutrition and your lifestyle and your overall habits. Now, wellness is a brand. It is an identity. I'm a wellness girly. I'm a wellness influencer, a fitness influencer. It's about aesthetic. People are promoting this on their social media and it looks cool. It makes them look like they are so healthy and fit and they have all this extra money to spend on their health and well-being, which also makes it about consumption. Buying the cold plunge pool, the hot yoga membership, the red light therapy, the blue light blocking glasses, all of these products and supplements that are promoted to us as you need this for wellness. If you are focusing on your health, if you are on a health journey, a wellness journey, here are products for you to purchase and use every single day. These things are excluding the average person, like parents, who definitely do not have all of that time to do this 3-hour-long morning routine. Shift workers who work nights or they don't always have the same schedule day to day. You can't have a very specific stagnant routine if you are working shifts and you can't predict what your schedule is going to look like 2 weeks from now. People who are already under chronic stress, which is a lot of us, because trying to be perfect and have this meticulous routine that you stick to no matter what is going to be stressful for the average person. And then the obvious is the people without disposable income. I cannot afford all of those extras. I could not afford them when I was going through my own gut health journey either, which is why I did not have them and I didn't need them either. What my life actually looked like when I was going through the worst of my gut symptoms was I was 24 years old. I had just graduated university. I had just started my first full-time job as a data analyst, aka I was poor. I had just paid for a large majority of my 2 university degrees. Before that, I was working a part-time job at a movie theater. I was going out drinking with my friends on the weekend, and I didn't have a massive spending problem, but I definitely didn't have disposable income to spend on all of these fancy wellness gadgets. I also felt very unwell. I did not have energy. So for me to wake up at 5 a.m., I would rather die. I was not going to do that. Actually, to this day, I am still not going to do that. I am not an early bird. I don't like to see the hour of 5 a.m. and you don't have to if you don't need to and you don't want to. I also am not a morning workout kind of girl. I typically work out in the evenings, especially during the week. On the weekends, I exercise late morning, early afternoon. That's what works for me. You don't have to follow somebody else's schedule because it's your life and you get to decide what works for you. What I did do back in the day, which I wish I didn't, was spend a ton of money on supplements and different practitioners and tests, which ultimately did not get me very far. But from the day that my gut issues started until about 5 to 6 years later, when I would say they had mostly resolved, I had never gone in a sauna. I had never done any sort of red light therapy. I never did any cold plunging or spa type treatments. I did not wear blue light blocking glasses. I do have them now because I asked for them for Christmas a couple of years ago because I am on screens all day. And they're actually more like computer glasses instead of like blue light specifically. But regardless, was not a key part of my gut health journey. I never meditated. I never had a membership to a yoga or a Pilates studio. I never did breath work besides the 3 to 5 breaths that I take before I eat my meal, but it wasn't a dedicated 10, 20-minute breath work session. Never did intermittent fasting. Never followed the carnivore diet or the keto diet. Did follow a lot of other diets like gluten-free, dairy-free, low FODMAP. I did a liver cleanse, and none of it worked. So I eventually gave that up as well. I will say that some elimination was required at the start of my gut health journey, like going gluten and dairy-free. For me, it was quite obvious that those were triggers. So I eliminated them, worked on improving my gut health, and I now can eat them again in moderation. But all the other crazy, trendy diets were not it. Listening to my body and getting that feedback of, okay, it's very clear that when I eat wheat, I am booking it to the washroom and in pain. I will stop that. But eliminating foods just because I saw a trendy diet on the internet did not work for me, and it will not work for you either. To go on and on about all the things that I didn't do because I didn't have the time, the energy, the disposable income, the education. I would say 7 years ago, these things weren't as trendy as they are now all of a sudden. So it wasn't even on my radar to do half of this shit. And I'm glad, because I probably would have fallen for half of it back then if I had heard about it or saw on Instagram that it worked for somebody else. After years of following different restrictive diets and spending thousands on supplements and tests and different practitioners and realizing this isn't actually working, I switched gears. And that is when my gut health actually improved. And I did not start purchasing other things. Instead, I started saving my money and I focused on things that were free. Things like eating consistent meals, breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, around the same time.
Okay, pause for a second. Have you taken my bloat personality quiz yet? It's totally free and honestly, freakishly accurate. This quick 2-minute quiz will help you figure out exactly which habits and patterns are behind your bloating, the ones no one ever talks about, and it gives you personalized, simple steps you can start using today to feel less bloated and more comfortable in your jeans. If you've ever wondered, why am I always bloated, even when I eat healthy, this quiz is your first clue. Head to beyondbloated.com/bloat-personality-quiz, or the link is in the show notes. Take the quiz and then send me your result. I love seeing which bloat personality everyone gets. Now, let's get back to the show.
Every single day, focusing on my sleep, sleeping better, not perfectly. I still would have the occasional late night here and there. I still sometimes am on technology too late, and that disrupts my sleep. I don't get morning sunlight every morning. I would say in the winter, I don't get morning sunlight most mornings. But I was focused on going to bed and waking up at the same time every single day, even on the weekends. That made a huge difference for me. Getting off technology an hour before bed most of the time. Reading. I like reading. It's relaxing. I was reading a fun book, not an educational book, before bed. That works for me. I started managing my stress in a realistic way. Like I said, I'm not a yoga girl. I don't meditate. I don't do long breathwork sessions. What I actually do that works for me is going for a walk midday, taking those 3 to 5 deep breaths before I start eating, getting off my phone before bed, and also not using my phone until after breakfast in the morning, so I'm not waking up and immediately stressing myself out. Eating breakfast within an hour of waking up, because that is a stressor on the body if you are not doing that. I also started optimizing movement. Like I said, I walk daily. That is a free activity. I also started by working out at home. I was doing at-home workouts with some dumbbells and my mat and body weights. That is relatively inexpensive. I have now upgraded and I go to the gym twice a week with my sister-in-law. I chose to do that, but you can absolutely get a great workout in at home if you don't want to go to the gym. But the biggest piece that worked for me was letting go of all of that restriction. I started adding food back into my diet. I stopped obsessing over every single bite. I stopped searching for the supplement, the diet, the protocol that was going to fix me. And I just really dialed in on those foundational habits. And that is what worked. My gut did not improve because I optimized harder. It improved because I simplified everything. I started letting go of all of the obsession and the supplements and the diets. And I just focused on really basic things that most of us ignore because it seems too simple. But I'm telling you that it's not. And that is what works. A lot of the noise floating around the internet lately, especially around gut health and how to improve and optimize your gut, is ridiculous. And there's a lot of myths out there. So let's go through some of them so we can myth bust and throw it aside and stop thinking about it. Myth number 1 is that you need more tools. You need more supplements. You need more gadgets, more things that are going to externally fix you. And that is the problem. We are looking for the external thing that's going to make our internal gut environment better. It does not exist. You actually need fewer tools. You need to simplify your routine into something that's manageable so that you can do these things consistently. I would much rather see one of my clients have 3 solid habits that they put in place that really supports their gut health, and they're able to do this consistently, than have 7 really expensive, high quality tools that they use once a week because they just can't have the time, they can't get to it. It's overwhelming. Consistency is going to beat out perfection or expensive tools every single time. Which leads me to myth number 2. If it's not expensive, it's not effective. This is bullshit. The most powerful habits and the most efficient things for your gut are boring and they're free. All the things that I just talked about: sleep, movement, nutrition, hydration, stress management, mindset. It's boring. I know that. But it's also free and it's effective. The fancy gadgets, if you want to go and blow your money on them, be my guest. I'm not saying they don't have any benefit, but they're not game changers. They're not a long-term solution. You will not get the same results from a red light therapy lamp as you will from eating breakfast every single morning. You just won't. And the final myth that I will mention, which I think is so important, is that you just need to be more disciplined. You just need to try harder. You need to spend more money. You just need to do better. Also bullshit. You actually need less pressure to feel more safety in your body so that digestion can turn back on. If you have unrealistic expectations for yourself, like I'm going to follow this 3-hour morning routine every day for the next 2 months and my gut will be healed, you're going to be let down. Because A, no, it won't. And B, you're not going to follow that because it's unattainable for 99% of people. You need a simple plan that fits into your life, something that you can maintain, something that is affordable, something that you can do consistently, and habits that actually move the needle forward. If we are comparing things like red light therapy, cold plunges, hot yoga, and fancy retreats to the basics like getting 8 hours of sleep each night, eating 3 balanced meals every single day around the same time, managing your stress by going for a walk, taking some breaths, getting off technology, and literally drinking enough water, the latter is destroying the former. Those fancy bonuses are exactly that. They're a cool bonus. But if you do those things and you do not do the boring foundational work, those other things aren't going to work. They're not going to replace the foundations. So you're wasting your money. If you are nailing the foundations and you feel great and you are a biohacker or an optimizer and you want to level up and do this other shit, go for it. Power to you. I'm not saying these are bad things. I am saying they are shiny object syndrome. They are distractions. They are essentially quick fixes that people are hoping, well, if I'm going to spend $2,000 on a sauna, it's going to fix me. It's expensive. It's not the way it works. This is meant to be really good news because I find all of that content on the internet very overwhelming and makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. I don't have these fancy gadgets. I don't have that much time to focus on my health and well-being. But then I look back to how horrific I felt 7 years ago, and I think about how great I feel today and how many of my symptoms I reversed and haven't experienced in years. And I realized how I got here, and it wasn't with any of those tools and the supplements and the testing and all the bonus things that I tried to use as essentially a quick fix didn't really work. I realized I'm actually doing pretty great because I have a lot more money in my pocket. I have time to spend on my family and my friends and my hobbies because I'm not obsessed and drowning in wellness trends to try to attain something that just is not going to work for me. If all you ever do is the foundations, you can feel really damn good. And I'm talking about boring but effective gut foundations. The things that I do in my life day to day, the things that I help my clients work on so that they can add these things into their lives in a way that works for them. And we don't add fancy tools. I have never in my life told one of my clients to go and buy a sauna or go and buy a pass to some sort of fancy spa or wellness retreat because you don't need it. I'm actually trying to save you time and money. I don't want you to go and waste your time. I want you to feel better as quickly as humanly possible and at the most affordable price point. So the next time you see one of these reels or you find yourself wondering if you just dropped $1,000 on this red light mask that maybe all your problems would go away, I want you to remember that you don't need more money, you do not need more time, and you absolutely do not need more wellness gadgets to improve your gut health, to reduce bloating, to reverse your food sensitivities, to get your energy back, or whatever else you are trying to accomplish. What you do need are fewer rules, more trust in your body, in yourself, and in the process, and a realistic plan that actually fits your life. Not the person you are watching on the internet, but you. You are the one who has to do these things, and if it does not fit, you cannot force it. If you have someone in your life who you feel like needs to hear this, they are the person who is always searching for that next wellness hack to speed track their results, but is not spending the time on the foundations. Do them a favor and send this episode their way. This is also exactly how I work with my clients. So if you are looking for support from someone who is not going to push a massive supplement stack on you, who is not going to recommend you take 3 different gut tests before working with me, and someone who is absolutely not going to have you go and buy an external wellness tool or membership or pass, then I am your girl. I will not force any of those things on you. I actually just recorded an entire episode on why I don't believe they're necessary, so that's your proof. And my program is also a proven method of success. It worked for me. It has worked for the dozens of women that I have supported one-on-one, and it can work for you as well. If you are interested to learn more about how that support would work, send me a DM on Instagram at beyond.bloated or send me an email, karleeclose@beyondbloated.com. I do work with a very limited amount of one-on-one clients, so we do need to make sure it is a good fit on both ends, but I'd be happy to chat with you to figure out if that is us. Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought. Please keep in mind that health is not something you perform, it is something that you live. I'll talk to you next week. Did you learn something new and useful today? If the answer is a big, resounding hell yeah, do me a favor. Subscribe to this podcast. Even better, toss a rating in there too. It helps more bloated babes discover this show and lets me keep bringing you this free, gut-loving content every single week. And hey, don't be greedy. Share this episode with your bestie who's always unbuttoning her pants after dinner. She will love you even more for it. Thanks for hanging out with me and showing your gut some love. Keep on putting what you learn into practice and you will be bloat-free in no time. Catch you in the next one. Bye!